Content creators on the internet always receive criticism, minor and major ones. A rather common misconception is that because of YouTube being a free video platform, that makes content creators immune against criticism, supposedly. As in, if you don't pay for it, you have no right to criticize the product. Don't like, don't watch. However, if you're a content creator who wants to make good money, shutting out criticism will most likely only serve as turning away viewers because it doesn't feel good to be shut out for no good reason. That being said, and I can't stress this enough, some criticisms are simply not valid. Don't completely shut out criticism, but you don't have to listen to everything either. Take feedback, but also know when to think for yourself. So we seem to have a pair of conflicting situations here. On one hand, we should be grateful that YouTube videos can be accessed for free. But on the other hand, we are kind of biting the hand which feeds our boredom by being critical of the content we consume for free. Whatever you feel about this is completely up to you, but there is one thing people need to understand at the end of the day. One simple truth, which is... YouTubers owe you nothing.
Say what?
Now, I'm not saying that YouTubers don't owe you a...
Thank you so much for watching today, Thank you so much for watching today! What?
You know, at the very least. But somehow, some people believe that YouTubers exist solely for the viewers' entertainment, in that when they feel like they have been disappointed in some way or another, in this case, videos not being produced as often as they used to, or the style changing to something they aren't particularly fond of, like it's some kind of important promise being broken, or a business contract being breached, when that isn't even remotely the case! Because, as you all know, YouTube is free. Obviously, if you do pay for something directly, with money, just to make that clear, then you have every right to be upset if the delivery of what you paid for is not executed properly. I shouldn't really need to explain further, but for the sake of argument, let's talk about an example I can actually think of. XIII is a YouTuber who has a Patreon account. For those of you who don't know, Patreon is a website where content consumers are able to make monthly donations to content creators. This is not limited to videos, artists in general can make great use of the website. The main purpose of this, as you might have guessed, is so that creators are able to produce art more frequently, using the money for faster and better production in general. However, creators on Patreon are also able to set money goals towards something, to give the donators a reason to give them money, basically. XIII once made a goal to play through Persona 3. I don't remember what the exact goal amount was, but it seemingly managed to gather around 1,250 American dollars. He did not finish the game, however, even though the goal promised a proper full playthrough. He did return to the game and finished it, but that was like 2 years later, and he never should have rage quitted in the first place for obvious reasons. He did something similar with Super Mario Sunshine. There was a goal to play the game. The goal was met, but he delayed starting the playthrough for reasons not justifiable. In instances like that, when direct payment with money is involved, people are going to be upset, and they have every right to voice their complaints. Heck, even people who didn't donate should call him out, in my opinion. So, back to YouTubers and free content. A big problem is that many viewers forget that YouTubers also have personal lives. If creative stagnation doesn't get in the way, maybe something in their personal lives will. Enter Ghoul Grumps, or rather, to hell with Ghoul Grumps. Ghoul Grumps is a seasonal event for the Game Grumps Let's Play channel, where Aaron and Dan dedicated themselves to some horror-themed games during Halloween season. This event is not directly paid for by anyone, at least as far as I'm aware, it's not. Pretty straightforward, right? However, one year, Aaron and Dan did not do Ghoul Grumps for Halloween season, and of course this was disappointing for many fans. In fact, a multitude of fans started sending hateful messages towards Aaron and Dan. I don't exactly have proof of these messages, and while just about every fandom has their bad apples, the Game Grumps fanbase is especially toxic, so I could totally believe it. It got so bad that Aaron felt committed to make an official apology video. In it, he basically explains that they've simply been too busy with other stuff, and that he feels guilty about not doing Ghoul Grumps despite the fact, as stated by himself, that they did technically have time for it, but just didn't do it in the end. A considerate individual would be able to consider reading between the lines and realize that Aaron perhaps wanted to subtly tell us that something serious happened in their personal lives. and that they would rather not go into detail about it, which they have every right not to. Another thing we have to keep in mind before continuing this point is that some people don't quite understand that just because Aaron has a lot of people working under him, such as video editing, social media management, and marketing, that doesn't mean they are able to do everything for him. For one, they would theoretically not be able to take over for him during our regular Game Grumps episode. It just won't sit right with the fans, I would imagine. Well, most of the fans anyway. With that in mind, maybe there were some projects which simply required his presence, time and effort, ultimately causing Aaron to have time for less during that point in time. Again, Ghoul Grumps is not some sponsored event, so we could have also assumed that his interest and attention were simply directed towards something else. So yes, Aaron is indeed just human, just like us. And the way some of his fans treated him at that point in time is hardly any different from certain pop idol groups in Japan. Take this poor girl for instance. Minami Minagishi was basically forced to shave her head and make a public apology to the fans she betrayed by being seen with a boyfriend. And this event pretty much serves as a warning to the other female pop idols who might think of finding true love and share it with the world, instead of simply catering towards apex virgins who clearly have more than a few screws loose, thus making them unfit to be boyfriends themselves anyway. But all of that is a whole other topic of discussion. By the way, I think that if the other idols were lesbians and found themselves a girlfriend, the apex virgins will probably not be upset. In fact, they will most likely start fantasizing about threesome. This video has just about reached its endpoint, so let's wrap things up with some concluding points. Just because something is for free, that doesn't make it immune towards criticism. If content creators display problematic behavior, spread misinformation, complain about not getting what they deserve when they might do worse than the bare minimum, then they simply get what is coming to them. Money and respect should not be on that list of things, though. But I suppose that really depends. Criticisms don't have to be reserved for unacceptable moments, though. If you have ideas for how things can be done better, then voice your opinions. There is freedom of speech, just don't abuse it. And don't always expect that your criticism is helpful, if it is valid at all. Your time alone is not enough for content creators to adhere to your tastes in particular. As they say, there are other fish in the ocean. If you simply grow bored, then move on to something else. Similarly to how content creators simply want to try out new things. YouTubers owe you nothing!
You lose! Good day, sir!
Shoot, I almost forgot. Thank you so much for watching. Come back soon. Alright, there's one more thing which needs to be quickly addressed. YouTubers earn their subscribers. You, on the other hand, did not earn your ability to give them a subscriber. So do not think for a moment that you hold some power over them in that regard. I mean, sometimes you do, but that is exactly why places like YouTube unfortunately perpetuates this problem of self-entitlement. It's just so mind-boggling that our free time all of a sudden becomes something so valuable to other people. It's a damn privilege to have this sort of fleeting power, which is why comments like this make me sad. I don't want them to be right, but somehow they are.